It's transfer portal season, and it's time to break it down. Let's talk about some of these players. This is the time of show, and we're doing it every show until further notice, where I let you know what we're hearing on these guys, and I tell you who I'm watching specifically. Ladarius Henderson, number 13 overall player in the portal. Now, he has already committed to Michigan, so this is not a guy who is technically available right now, but I did want to highlight him. He started 29 games over 3 years. He was a team captain out at Arizona State. It's an interior offensive lineman, by the way, 6'5", about 310, graded at a 92 right now in the transfer portal. I told you that makes him number 13 overall. In his career, not this year, in his career, allowed 8 quarterback hurries, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit, and I think that they may be looking at him to get reps at tackle at Michigan. I don't know if that's decided. I think that that's what they have in mind because there's a thought amongst some that he could easily kick out wide. Certainly, if you want to sell him on his maximization of value in the NFL draft circles, that's what you would pitch him. So watch Mr. Henderson there. Not a bad strategy there by Jim Harbaugh, who knows a thing or two about coaching the position. Javion Cohen, let's stick with offensive linemen for a second. He's played at Bama a couple of years. There's some smoke around Miami right now. I think that's the program I've heard most often. Sometimes with these portal guys, you never know until they pull the trigger, and sometimes it's out of left field. It's much harder to get inside intel on portal moves than it is traditional recruiting. But he's 6'4", 305. He's the number 10 overall player in the portal. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. Look, I can speak glowingly of this guy without having to tell you things like he allowed 0 sacks in his career at Alabama. I know that stat's flying around. That is not an accurate stat. Let me just leave it there. Javion Cohen's a fine player. He is not the kind of player that has allowed 0 sacks in his career. So let me just leave that there because I know that when we show you the slider we're showing you right now, and it doesn't have that stat on it, multiple somebodies are going to be in the comment section saying, you know, he's allowed 0 sacks. How do you know? Did you study his film? No, you saw a graphic tweeted out by a certain company out there. Incorrect. Still a good player, though. All right, let's move on. Denver Harris. Jesse tells me the number 1 overall player, as it stands right now, in the transfer portal. Denver Harris made a lot of news last year, being a part of that Texas A&M signing class. I do not believe that he had the option to return to Texas A&M. There have been some issues with him out there. He wasn't the only one. You've seen guys go through that before and end up shining, so I'm not trying to dampen his future prospects or anything like that because he's going to have a lot of options here. About 5'11", 6 foot, 180, corner. Always love guys who have geographical first names, so if anything, Denver Harris appeals to me. I think Colorado is a program to watch here. I think LSU is a program to watch. Now, coming out of high school, he committed to A&M over Texas and LSU and Bama, I believe. So, you know, I know there's been some rumblings with LSU. I don't know whether Bama's in it for him or not. I haven't heard that. That doesn't mean anything, but I haven't heard that. What about Rivaldo Fairweather? What do you know about him? I think probably far less. Every other guy I've mentioned here is going from Power 5 to probably Power 5. Rivaldo Fairweather, when I say Power 5, you know what I mean. More a G5 guy, or at least that's where he's coming from at FIU. You got some Auburn smoke here, maybe some Maryland smoke. We'll see. Number 14 overall player is a tight end. These players always intrigue me because we're living in an era of Brock Bowers and Dalton Kincaid, Jaheim Bell's in the portal from South Carolina. So you got a couple of guys at the tight end position here now that may offer the complete package. For instance, you know, their last game against Middle Tennessee, he goes 8 catches, 152 yards, and 3 touchdowns at 6'5", 245 as a tight end. He was on the Mackey Award watch list coming into this year, played in 10 games. He's the kind of guy, Rivaldo Fairweather is the kind of guy who 95% of you probably haven't heard a whole lot about. He could land at a Power 5 program and end up being a focal point of an offense, depending on where he goes. Like if he were to have been in the Dalton Kincaid role at Utah. I'm not comparing the players heads up. I'm saying based on the fact this kid was a basketball player in high school. Didn't even start playing football till his junior year. He's a different kind of athlete than your typical 6'5", 245 is what I'm saying. You could drop him into those systems, and I believe he would fare very well. Next up, Theo Weiss. I just wanted to mention him because he has committed to Missouri. This is the wide receiver, former 5-star receiver at Oklahoma. Had 4 touchdowns in 2022. He was a guy that a lot of people expected to break out this year. He didn't. That doesn't mean there's not breakout potential. And you know that Missouri has had some talent at receiver exit via the portal, so they need some to enter via the portal. Luther Burden's still there. Well, now we got Theo Weiss there. So those are some of the names that we're keeping an eye on right now. The portal, look, it happens in phases. As I say this like I've done this 10 years. As I will tell you every year, you've got the initial wave of guys who go in. There are probably still some more big names. Remember, this is 45 days. Some teams are in the playoff. So it could be understandable if I'm on a playoff team and I intend to go in the portal, I'm not telling you till after my season's over. So for like the Ohio States of the world or the Georgias of the world, you very well could wake up the morning after the title game, a couple days after the title game, and you start seeing a next little wave, or just after bowl games in general. But the real wave is when guys start landing at places. That's when it's going to be really, really a fireworks show, and that's not too far down the road. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Make sure you like the video, and please subscribe to the channel. Not just for me, that's how we keep this entire thing free.